Hey guys, Michael here. I wanted to do a quick follow-up to yesterday's video that I made concerning the Siege rework that CA announced. And the reason I want to do that is because I think I need to apologize a little bit, which is I think the tone of yesterday's video probably came across more negative than I intended it to. I have some reservations about some of the decisions that they made, but overall I've got a couple of things that I want to reinforce that I really didn't emphasize enough in yesterday's video. So also, I wanted to add that I very much appreciate the comments that came in on that first video. As expected, some of you came up with some things that I hadn't really considered. And so having had an extra day here to think about not only my tone in that previous video, but also to absorb some of the comments that you guys made, I've changed my tune a little bit. Not entirely, don't get me wrong, I don't think that I was way off base in yesterday's video, but like I said, I think the tone of it overall was a little bit more negative than I intended it to be. So just a really couple of short points that I want to make to follow up on that. So the first thing that I really needed to emphasize is, although I think, well, let me back up. I think they have identified many of the correct issues, which is a great first step. And also, I think, and when I say they, I mean Creative Assembly. And also, I believe that they are going about this the right way. Their process is the right one, which is they're doing it in a beta. They're soliciting feedback from people, presumably, with an ear to actually, genuinely having an interest in what people have to say and making changes accordingly. So I think their process is good. And like I said, I think they've identified the right problems. My criticisms were more kind of I'm not sure that they went about fixing those problems in the right way. And after having thought about this for an extra day, I again kind of appreciate that this was just a first step. They are, accepting feedback, and they can consider my first video to be my feedback and this one as well. But yeah, like I said, they're moving in the right direction, and I want to make that very clear. And I don't think I made that clear enough probably in yesterday's video. So a couple of specific points that you guys mentioned that I really definitely wanted to follow up on. I started out by saying that I felt like they shouldn't be focusing on fixing issues that there are already mods to fix. And as some of you pointed out very insightfully, there is no guarantee that modders are going to continue to maintain their mods. It's an imperfect solution anyway to fix base functionality with mods, so it's always better for CA to fix those. So I don't mean to suggest at all that I don't think they should ever take a look at something like the pocket ladders, and if they feel like the right solution is to remove them, which is also something that there's a mod that does, that they shouldn't go ahead and do it. I was a little disappointed because I didn't think it was the highest priority, but yes, I should acknowledge that, that they have every right to fix it, and that ultimately it is obviously a better solution for them to fix it in the base game as opposed to a modder doing it. So that, very good point that some of you made, for example. Just one final note on the ladders. I think it's really fascinating how many opinions there are on this one tiny little topic, like just whether or not to have the ladders in the game. And I want to make it very clear because there was a little bit of disrespectful back and forth in the video comments yesterday. We have different opinions on this topic, obviously, and I think there's good points to be made in either direction. I always think that disagreement between each other, and certainly with me, is perfectly viable. Like I said, I'm actually apologizing because I think some of you made some good points that made me rethink how I'm doing some of this. Anyway, I just want to reinforce there's a respectful way to disagree with one another or with me, and there's a disrespectful way to do it. People need to learn how to talk to one another respectfully, not just on YouTube, but in general. Let's all try to do better moving forward. Okay, anyway, that's it for the ladders and the comments in general. Moving on to a much broader topic, which is I basically talked about how abstract the comments about the AI improvements were in that note post, and then obviously some of you pointed out that there was an entire video that they made which I have not watched yet, and so I should probably reserve judgment on just how effective some of those changes are going to be until I at least watch that. But like I hopefully emphasized enough in yesterday's video, we're just going to have to take a wait and see attitude. And obviously, I think that there's a fair number of things that that we're all going to have to experience firsthand before we can really form an opinion about it. So fair enough, I'm absolutely willing to do that, and I'm actually looking forward to getting my hands on it whenever they do decide to release it. So yeah, I'll cut them a little bit more slack than I probably seemed like I was willing to yesterday. Final thing I wanted to talk about is the pathfinding, which admittedly they did say that they are working on that in the coming soon section of the notes, which is promising. Again, I just kind of have to reserve judgment until I actually see it. They have said that they're going to work on pathfinding before, and it never really came across, and it's so bad in siege battles that I'm just going to have to take a very much not even cautiously optimistic, but probably more of a I'll believe it when I see it type of an attitude when it comes to pathfinding. But, you know, fingers crossed that they actually do something to improve that. So anyway, like I said, I just wanted to kind of change a little bit of the tone of yesterday's video because I wasn't overly happy with how I think it came across. But as always, there is still plenty of discussion to be had on this topic. And I do very much appreciate the fact that CA is apparently more willing to receive the feedback than they have been at some points in the past. And so, you know, this is only a good thing for us players to continue to get our opportunity to give our feedback to them. And, you know, again, that's sort of what these videos have hopefully been doing. So as always, encourage any more comments. But like I said, let's learn how to be a little bit more respectful with one another. You know, I have in my old age here, I have very little tolerance for people who don't know how to talk to one another civilly. So I will be starting to remove comments more and more often if they cross a line. It's a game, guys. So, you know, try not to get too personal and too emotionally worked up over it. All right. Anyway, that's all I had to say. Go ahead and leave it there. Thanks everybody so much for watching and listening, and I will see you all in the next video.